Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonja Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Oh, here. Let's see. Jacked up here. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to National Professional Sports Streaming. I am sitting in for Mac tonight. I am Sonja. And I just want to welcome everyone to our midweek show. We're here with Bill Crouch, Trilla, and Keith Engel.
Hello.
And yes, it is really me. Good evening, gentlemen. I appreciate Mac for the opportunity. We meet back. We hope you are rested up accordingly and that Miss Linda's taking really good care of you. Gentlemen, this is our midweek show. You guys download the Roku app so that you two can be in the know when we are breaking sports news. Let me just check my audio here because are you guys hearing some feedback?
A little bit.
You guys are all right. I'll be.
Bye.
Oh. All right. What about now? Is it better? It's a little better now?
Yeah. Sounds fine to me.
Maybe getting a radio frequency on these focals here. They're kind of large. All right.
Really?
Yeah, I had to make the joke on myself. All right. Welcome, one and all. So, gentlemen, this is our lull of sports time where we literally are kind of in between the draft and we're also wrapping up March Madness. Keith, I heard today that Knuppel, however you pronounce his name, has declared for the draft. So we'll start with that. We'll start with you, our college expert, Keith Engel, everybody.
I was a little surprised at Knuppel. I don't know if it's Knuppel or Knuppel, actually, but because I've heard Knuppel both ways. But I was a little surprised he's entering the draft. I think Duke was expecting to have him back to go along with a pretty good core, despite losing probably Flag in the draft. So it's a little bit of a surprise, but look at, if you think you're going to go in the first round, you might as well take money may not be there next.
So you don't think he'll go the first round?
I do. I think I'll go to the back of the first round.
Okay. Sounds like somebody's getting a call about him right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somehow, work doesn't ever leave me alone. They see me sitting at my desk somehow. I think they're spying on me.
Yes. So speaking of spying, we have our next person, family member, James JTrain Martin. Oh, he's bringing the music. Good evening.
Oh, here we go.
How are you?
What's up? Good. Sorry. How's everybody?
We're doing amazing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And so good to see you as always, brother, our New Orleans St. LSU expert as well. Keith was
absolutely
just Knuppel declaring for the draft. Guys, I do have a question, and Keith, you can feel free to weigh in as well. Everybody else chime in. Now, there was a whole discussion we had about the flag a couple of weeks ago, if whether or not he would come back to the draft, to Duke to play college basketball. And now that Knuckle has declared, and that's his BFF, his bosom buddy, I mean, do you think they will be linked into going into the draft together, or will Flag, kind of still stay independent and return?
I thought Flag will go pro pretty much the entire time, and I think he will still. He'll be the number one pick in the draft. There's really nothing to gain unless he just likes college that much and wants to win a national championship over being the first guaranteed, probably first pick in the draft, I should say. I think he comes out.
Yeah, he probably will. Good evening to you, Wes, and to Brent. Thank you so much for joining us. And you just finished cooking, Brent. We will take our plate in about 55 minutes. Thank you so much for that. I mean, everybody is kind of, had Flag as the person that would, leave the league. He was projected to go number one. And now, we have this situation with Knuckle. I mean, Knipple, yeah. I mean, does that still leave Duke in a solid position next season? I mean, they got the Bruiser brothers coming in there and coming into the league, coming into college. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they've still got a solid core. There was always a solid core around Flag. He made them better, yes, but I think their core and the kids they have coming in that you mentioned are certainly enough to keep them at the top of a kind of a weak ACC, and in the at least the conversation for a national championship. It's a team that I think will probably take a little time to gel and get it together. But by the time the postseason rolls around next year, I think Duke will be one of the best teams in the country.
I mean, we thought that this year, so hopefully.
As much as he's making with NIL, though, do you think he does stay one more? I mean, he's making more on NIL than he would in the league.
Yeah, as a first pick in a draft, he's going to get guaranteed money that he's not going to get at NIL.
You don't think he'd still be the number one pick next year?
Yeah, but why risk it? Right now, he's guaranteed to be the number one pick. If he comes back, we don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. He better take out a nice insurance policy if he does come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Injury, he plays just a little tick off, and somebody we aren't talking about today steps up their game. Then all of a sudden he's, 6 in the draft, and that's a lot of money in the NBA. So you got to strike while the iron's hot and go.
Well, you also got to look at who's the number one pick, right? You may want to come back to school anyway.
Yeah. Now, listen, I say that, and I wish these kids would stay in school. I said this a couple of times. I mean, I'm just talking about the realities of the world we live in today, that he's probably not coming back. I would like to see him play 3 years or 4 years at Duke like we used to see, but those days are
I think
gone.
a lot of us in our opinions, and I mean, which is nothing wrong with no one's opinions here, but a lot of us in our opinions are always coming from a perspective of someone hindsight 2020. When you're 18 years old, when you're 19 years old, that's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking about all the money. If I'm young, all the testosterone, cars. I'm not saying every guy's after girls, but it's what it is. The more all that action comes at you so fast, you want it. If I'm 18 years old, I may want it. I mean, there's some exceptions to the rule that want to stay in school, and hey, I'm getting paid, I'll go ahead and do that. For the most part, if the young ladies in the WNBA, if they got paid more money, I guarantee you more of them will come out as freshmen. More of them are beginning to stay because they're making more money as college players. So it's always about the money. And no one can tell you any different. The kids are going to leave because they're getting way more money and prestige and everything. And they can do a lot more. They're podcasting. There's a little bit less restrictions. You're an adult, a young adult. You may not know how to handle money. You may not know how to handle life, but you want to take it and move forward with it.
Well, that actually was my argument, though, is he's making more in college than he will in the first year in the NBA.
You think so?
I don't think he will. When you factor in endorsements and everything else, he'll make plenty. I think he'll get plenty just to play. But
again, as a number one pick, right? Exactly.
I think, Bo, I think your argument makes more sense for guys not at Cooper Flagg's level, right? It'll keep kids at a little bit lower level in school longer because, once you get to the back of the first round, you're not making that kind of money in the NBA, or certainly second round. So some kids are going to stay in school longer, which I guess it's a good thing if they're staying for the right reasons, but money will keep them there longer.
I mean, speaking of right reasons, so, we'll definitely stay tuned on that. Got to pivot over to the big talk. I'm here for it. Okay, let me just go ahead and put it out there. I've been extremely rough on the whole Sanders story. I have expressed a lot of contempt about it.
No.
But today, Deion Sanders talked to his locker room, especially, unfortunately, about the Kyron Lacy situation, the LSU player, the wideout that was predicted to go into the draft, very standout athlete that was facing some alleged allegations of an accident that involved someone unaliving. And unfortunately, this young man just could not face the demons that surrounded that. He was supposed to have been formally charged on Tuesday. And on Sunday night, or I believe it was Saturday, he took his own life. JTrain, I'll let you speak about that, and then I'll pivot back to the Shador and Deion saga related as it relates to that. I wanted you to speak a little bit about Kyron Lacy because we have not spoken about that.
So Kyron Lacy, from what I understand, I'm this is some of the information that I've gotten and that's been put out there, is that there's been some underlying let's just put quotes of high strung prior to any of these allegations. He's a guy that's always been working on his mental. He's even verbalized saying that. I mean, in interviews, he said, I'm working on my mental. Coach is somebody that he loves because coach is always trying to, he's always trying to get him to improve himself. And I think a little bit, they didn't go into details. At least I didn't hear it. There were snippets of actual Kyron Lacy himself saying that these are some of the things that he's dealing with. And that's mental health. One thing I love about mental health now is that there's no stigma.
Right.
I mean, there's still a little bit level of stigma, but at least people they have the openness of other people to be more accepting, to get help, to get things to help improve mental health. And so it seems like that's where he was at. And then, of course, again, we're talking about the money thing and the aspect of these kids getting money. From what I understand, I think it may have been a Hellcat he was driving, and it was just a maneuver that was an illegal maneuver, and it forced another car to go in incoming traffic, which killed a 70-year-old former Marine. And from what I understand, when the crash happened, he drove around it and just kept going. And so they obviously found out who it was. He turned himself in and was willing to participate and do whatever it is to try to, rectify the situation. But I don't know all the details, but I know there was a domestic disturbance situation with his sister, and he fired a gun towards the ground, got in the car, pulled off, and obviously called the cops, and they were chasing him, and the car crashed. And the reason why they found out the car crashed is because he unalived himself, presumably in the car. He was found in the car, and was nothing. There were cameras on the police that would show no wrongdoing of the police. They didn't fire anything. They just found when he crashed, he the weapon was in the car, I believe, and he again unalived himself. And it's just a tragedy all around because you just don't know. I don't know all the situation, all the details, and what was going on, but obviously the tragedy of the guy who lost his life, and the young man who made a bad decision, and he's going to have to pay for it, and unfortunately he decided to pay for it with his own life. And so it's just sad. And I didn't see the Deion Sanders communication. I'll let you go ahead and finish that, Sonja. But Deion has always been like that. I will say this: Deion loves young men, and he tries to put whatever it is he can and to inspire young men to do what they're supposed to do. And there's been a lot of evidence of young people who have gone on to do better things, have said great things about Deion in that regard. And so, I mean, you can say what you want to him about being a flashy coach and maybe, I guess, I don't know, people consider him a narcissist and all this. But what I do know is that a lot of people, like Marshall Falk and Warren Sapp. These are people that are elected, that are Hall of Famers, that have played, that are his peers, elected to go and serve under him and be, sub coaches, because they understand who he is. And so my hat's off to him, and my heart goes out to the family of the deceased, both the man who lost his life and Kyron Lacey.
Yeah, I'll let some of you guys weigh in on that before I wrap up with Dion, because I did want to talk into that. Strilla, what were your thoughts on this? You've been kind of quiet a little bit today. I know that you follow college sports as well, and JTrain, thank you so much for that narrative. It's such a sensitive subject, and JTrain did bring up something that's very important, that there's no longer a stigma around mental health. We look at situations, and I'll definitely get Bo and Keith's input on this as well. I was so reminded of the Jalen Carter situation down here in UGA a couple of seasons ago, and now he's playing with the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I just feel like, in my opinion, even though the civil lawsuits are filing, I feel that this is just a situation that, unfortunately, Kyron didn't have the mental wherewithal to let it play out in the judicial system. I mean, because we all have the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. I mean, he was bonded out, which means if they bonded him out, they trusted him to go home and return for his court appearances. So they couldn't have been too worried about him getting additional charges, and they definitely were not worried about his mental health.
I mean, mental health is based on the human being themselves. There's some people that can go through these situations and understand what's going on, and there's other people that can't. I mean, that's basically what groups that you fall into. Unfortunately, he wasn't one of those that was mentally stable to do that. So, and that's unfortunate. I mean, the whole situation with domestic violence, I think the domestic situation, not the violence, but shooting into I just think he was just all kinds of places at one time. I think a lot of guilt slips into it too. A lot of people associate mental disparity with guilt too. He probably felt guilty about the situation that happened. And some people can deal with the guilt in a different way. He just couldn't. I mean, you can't really explain those kind of things that different people go through in those situations. It was sad either way. Like you said, it's sad for him, and it was sad for the person that died in the accident as well. But I mean, you really don't know what's in their head. That's just not a cliche. It's just what it is. You just don't know what people are thinking about in a mental state. So, it's really a subject that is just there. You know what I'm saying? It's something you're going to sympathize with, or some people are going to be cruel about it, obviously. And it's just human nature, how they pretend, how they show everything in pretense. So, I mean, to me, it's just something that happened to a young man that just didn't have the situation, the mental situation to cope with it. So.
Yeah, and good evening to Candy and to Rick. Thank you so much. Bo, I mean, you used to play in the league, and I'm sure you've seen your fair share of situations that involve, moral turpitude. There's different levels of what moral turpitude actually looks like as far as the league, and professionalism, and having the weight of the world literally on your shoulders. This young man was projected to go into the draft and do very good things. Coming from humble beginnings, of course. And I mean, just what was your take on that? Other than, of course, it's a sad situation. It most certainly is. But what was your take, or should I say, what would be your advice? Because unfortunately, like JTrain brought up and Keith has talked about, these NIL deals are putting these kids in a whole different perspective of reach. They're able to have the wherewithal to get anything they want that money can buy. They can buy, unfortunately, drugs. They can get these high-speed cars that they're not even numerically mature enough to maneuver on a highway, let alone with a high-speed chase or anything like that. It's dangerous to operate a 2-ton vehicle, 4-ton vehicle anyway, as an experienced driver. But these people have been driving less than 10 years, these students. And so, what are your thoughts, just on this situation? Like, is it one of the situations where the NIL, this young man didn't have one as much as I know, but he was well known, and the NFL withdrew their invitation. They didn't even give him an opportunity to come and present himself, the talents that he had. I feel like that may have been strike one.
Yeah, well, I mean, he declared for the draft 2 days after the accident anyway. So the accident had already happened, and then he declared. It's tough because he was dealing with mental demons while things were going well, right? So now you get into a scenario where you're out reckless driving. You end up, somebody dies because of the accident that essentially you caused. That adds to an unstable person already. I mean, that's something where you're happy to hear that he was working on his mental, situation. Who knows what that looks like exactly? But from a advice standpoint, I suppose, definitely call somebody, right? Get that help. I've known a few different people that have committed suicide. So like it affects everybody. And so it would be, it's great that there's less of a stigma about it. And there is avenues to get that help. Now, would it have helped in this particular situation? Man, that's tough to say because that's heaping a lot of stuff on a kid that already isn't quite all there. And so I don't know that even the best help in the world would have necessarily helped a situation where, somebody died as a result of something you did. Some people can live with that. Some people can't. And I don't know that any amount of therapy would have fixed that part of it. Plus you have the pressure of you are lauded as maybe the 5th best receiver in this draft. And you're now watching your entire future start to unravel as, best case scenario, you're going to spend, 4 or 5 years in prison for involuntary, right? Especially after leaving the scene. And, there's additional charges that go with that. So, I mean, you're talking about almost one of the worst case scenarios of a situation. So, not to excuse any of it, obviously you shouldn't have been doing that. But at the same time, you're heaping a lot of negative on a guy that already wasn't mentally fully stable.
Yeah. Keith?
Yeah, there's not a ton I can add. I mean, it's an awful tragedy. It's a cautionary tale for a lot of kids, similar to Bo. And there always has been a stigma, but there's not as much of a stigma today about mental health because a lot of high-profile people have come out and talked about their own mental health. Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, Brandon Marshall in football. And there's a list as long as my arm. So, but I think there is still a bit of a stigma for some people. They're afraid to come out. I've been touched by it, as Bo mentioned he was, by some friends. And I remember in each instance being shocked because you would never have thought it because they hid it so well. That there was any problems in their life. And I think these universities, I think professional sports teams, they've got to be cognizant of their players' mental health as well as their physical health, especially in the world we live in today where kids, 18 years old, as we've talked about, are being thrust into a world of millionaires and coming from nothing. With hangers on, with all kinds of pressures. You think what's an 18-year-old kid with, getting a $4 million, not that Lacey was getting $4 million in NIL money, but others are. They're thrown from nothing to getting $4 million. And you think, they don't have a care in the world, but they've got more pressure on them than they ever had when they had nothing, probably, many of these kids. And we don't take that into effect. And I've been guilty of taking cheap shots at some people, as Bistrella was saying a second ago, and I should be ashamed of myself. And I usually am sorry I did it. I take shots at Aaron Rodgers. I take shots at Kyrie Irving, and I shouldn't do these things. And I realize that when I see these tragedies, and it makes me check myself sometimes. And we all have to be more cognizant of how we react, I guess.
You take counter shots at Jack.
Well, there's that too.
Well, I mean, it's also it's different if you're taking shots at them as a human versus shots at them of production, right?
Yeah.
Because for what it is we do here, you're supposed to be analyzing production, right? Now, if you're taking cheap shots at the person, I mean, that is what it is. But if you're taking shots at the fact that Rodgers didn't look good on the field, I mean, it's accurate.
I've been guilty of making fun of his character and, Kyrie Irving thinking the earth is flat and things like this, so.
But those are the gifts that keep on giving. I mean, these are what presents themselves. So I mean, how are those taking shots?
Yeah, I have to.
But is that really a mental issue, or is that just an individual issue? I mean, that's
the question that presents on Enigma.
Yeah.
I think that's a studying issue.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how people are able to handle things. I mean, I personally remember being bullied as a child, like really bad, like all through middle school, all through high school, like really seriously bullied. Like people that grew up with me can literally attest to this. Like I would go home crying. I didn't want to fight because I didn't want to get in trouble at school, but I was like I'm surprised I have any tears left. As an adult, I've gotten so many apologies from classmates that'll find me on social media and be like, hey, I just want to tell you I'm so sorry I treated you. I don't even know why I treated you that way. And I'm just going to attest to that all linking in with the strength of a person. Maybe that's why I'm stronger now because, I went through that tough period where, the fact that people were bullying me just because of the way I looked or the way I sounded or because, that's how I became a funny person. I started joking around so it would kind of take the attention away before people had something to say about me. So it just kind of considered a funny person. But when you are literally, if you don't have anybody to support you, and this young man, you don't have, like he was arguing with his sister. Imagine how she feels right now. Like she has to feel the absolute worst. And, they don't mention his parents much. Imagine his parents. Like, this has caused a rift now because at least where I come from, if that had happened with one of my siblings, my parents would have been blaming me. Like, listen, they had this going on and you really started some stuff knowing they had court the next day. Like, all of that is part of it. I want to pivot from that because we could go through that all day. And I do want to kind of add a little humor spot. I'm going to actually have to look at the layout of our screen because it looks like I have dunce hat on my head and I'm like trying to move away from it. I've been trying to move, and the more I move, the more I'm like, it's still there.
Well, so at least you can say you look like a cute gnome. So let's get the done.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm a cute gnome tonight.
Wow, JTrain, you cleaned that up perfectly.
You know why, right?
Good job, brother.
Thank you, because JTrain ripped me a new one a couple of weeks ago about somebody. Wow. And I could not. We were on live, Keith. I don't think you were on the show, but everybody else was here. I didn't even know JTrain would scream. Like
I don't remember.
It was Shedeur Sanders. I mean, you flipping the script now.
That's why yesterday what do they say when people wake up like they woke up like this? I woke up with the hurls of Shedeur and them retiring his jersey and all this, but I'll get there in a second. So I want to give a prop first to Dion because he is I've always known he was a mentor. He does have a very good locker room presence. A lot of people respect him.
Holds kids accountable. He does. For all the false, he holds kids accountable.
Yes, he does. And it's not that. Let me be clear. I'm not taking away from anything Dion himself has done on the field. My stance has always been those children, because they're still kids, really. I mean, they're adults now, but those young people, let me rephrase, are not ready to handle the type of success that comes along with the prime effect. They are new and they are still in the maturation phase. And I don't expect to see Shedeur behaving like Dion Jr. when he has not even gotten drafted. He doesn't have the first letter of his name on a contract to come into the league. And so I feel like he could have showed a little more gratitude. Now, if he had come in there like, hey, everybody knows my dad is prime, but, I'm grateful for whoever drafts me, I wouldn't feel like this. It's the whole hurl. And, everybody likes to say the media's done it. But let's be clear, where there's smoke, fire. And he didn't try to denounce none of this stuff at first. So now you got the situation that Colorado supposedly retiring him and Travis Hunter's jersey. First of all, I've never heard of that garbage on a college that they're doing. Like, what the heck? And so I put the comments in there, of course, for JTrain's benefit. And he was basically like how my sister is. She's like, I don't care if a million people said something. This is my opinion. And so that's how JTrain basically said it. Like, their world is full of haters. I mean, it is. Some of it probably is hate, but is it really?
No, it 100% is not hate. He didn't do anything. Like they went to a bowl game and got rocked. Like he didn't win nothing. He didn't go to the national playoff. He didn't win a national championship. I mean, he didn't do anything. So you're telling me that Shedeur Sanders should get his number retired, but Cordell Stewart, who played at that school and
yes,
like you got to be out of your mind. So I mean, if you're going with Hunter, I mean, I guess at least he won the Heisman. There's just at least a piece of hardware to go with it. But what are we doing? What do we do? Like this is all dumb. This is college. You're not retiring numbers. It's ridiculous.
I love it.
So let me defend myself in my take. What was presented to me was the comparison of Tim Tebow in Florida versus Shedeur Sanders in Colorado. I said, okay, well, why are we even comparing these schools? Because Tim Tebow in Florida was a loaded team. Colorado was pretty much nothing with Shedeur Sanders, and the best two players on that team were those two players. You mentioned Cordell Stewart. Cordell Stewart had a Michael Westbrook and Rashad Salam on that team. I can name some great players on both teams, huh?
Who also don't have their numbers retired, I'll point out.
I'm not saying they don't deserve their numbers retired. And I'm saying that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter deserve their numbers to be retired. What I'm saying is what was presented to me, the comparison should not even be compared. I'm not saying that these teams should have retired those other players' jerseys. But maybe it should have happened is what I'm saying, is that should have happened. And then maybe that's where the erroneous problem is that those great players like Tim Tebow's jersey should definitely be retired. Number 15, probably arguably one of the greatest college football players ever. And no one can dispute that. And what these two players have done for Colorado that no one has done in how many years makes it hard to say that, okay, maybe if they want to retire jerseys, I don't have a problem with that. But maybe we should flip the script and say, why do these other schools not retire the jerseys of these other great players?
I mean, if you're going to do it, at least retire the numbers of the other great players at your own school.
No, I'm that too. Yes, maybe that should be done. But I mean, again, I'm not for or against this. I'm not for or against this. I don't think. I mean, in my honest opinion, if you're in college, you're college. I guess the thing is, there are too many players that come through the schools and a lot of great players that just start. You're going to start retiring everybody's number. You're going to run out of numbers to retire.
That's what I was going to say is at that point, everybody's going to be out there in triple digits if you do it for every great player that's ever come through a program.
Not going to have no jersey numbers left.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about that as well. I mean, some people said it was because, basically Shedeur is Deion's son, and whatever Deion wants is what he gets. I mean, I don't know, guys. Speaking of,
I don't think it's a case of Deion getting what he wants. I think it may be a case of the school trying to give Deion a little gift. Yeah.
I mean, they've given him $54 million. There's his gift. He's gotten, what he's earned. He doesn't need any more incentives. And speaking of, while we're still on this, I want y'all's takes on this. So Shedeur don't want to come to the draft. You were projected to go in the top 5, but you're just going to stay home. And apparently it means more for you to be with your family. The argument was made, the person's on here, the argument was made that Trevor Lawrence, who was drafted top as well, stayed home. But the media hype wasn't really around Trevor that much. I mean, it was a little bit here and there, but I don't remember it as much as with Dion. I mean, Shador. But again, this just kind of gives off the Aaron Rodgers mentality, if you ask me. Now you want to stay home. Why?
There was hype for Trevor Lawrence, but it was a different kind of hype because he was going to go number one, and we all knew that. There was no doubt.
Right.
The thing with Shador Sanders is we don't know what's going to happen.
That's why.
I think he could fall all the way out of the first round. He doesn't want to be embarrassed. It's not about
exactly.
But
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Look how he treated Lamar Jackson. This was a guy that was a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that was projected by Bill Polian that he should play wide receiver. He said that on TV and stood by it. He backed it up and said he should still. I mean, I still think that I was right about that, and he's totally off base and wrong. And so that alone, who can't tell me that alone probably didn't bring Lamar's draft stock way down. And if he would have been a second round player had not the Ravens went back up into the first round to pick him. And let's do a revisionist draft history right now. After we know what Lamar Jackson is now, where would you pick Lamar Jackson now?
I mean, he'd be a top
in that
pick.
Same draft.
Well, he'd be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my point is, I think Shador Sanders a different style quarterback, but he is a talented quarterback. But some narratives have been put out about him that probably will bring his draft stock down. And so why would I want to be a part? If I'm putting myself in his shoes, why would I want to be a part of that and have egg on my face like who was the kid's name? Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Geno Smith was supposed to be in the first round.
Yeah,
and he
had to go home. I felt bad.
And got picked in the second round.
I felt
Why would if there's a potential that I may get pushed down because of what's been said about me?
But it's
versus
what he's done. It ain't what nobody said. It's what he's been doing. He's got.
What has he been doing?
He's a butthole, and folks don't want to deal with that in his day.
I disagree.
You know, butthole. You know, was a butthole drafted number 2 overall out of Washington State.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. He was a straight butthole.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he had a lot of issues. And you tell me they didn't know that before they drafted him? We're talking about Ryan Leaf. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
so
I always
hear that. There's a lot of buttholes. You got a 5th round draft pick that can be a butthole to his teammates. I mean, and that's Tom Brady.
Well, you were saying it's what the media has put out there. And I'm not saying what the media put out there. It's what he's doing.
I don't know what got Tom Brady a butthole, but anyway.
Well, I guess I'm just saying that how you treat your teammates and players when you're mad and you're pissed off about different and throwing tantrums and stuff on the sideline. You telling me, and I don't have a problem with that. Tom Brady is arguably 1 or 2 greatest quarterback all time in the NFL. My point. I'm bringing it up. Being called a butthole shouldn't tear you down from being top 5 draft pick is what I'm saying.
Well, let me be clear. Maybe not a butthole, but he's very ungrateful.
I get why you might not want to come. I get why you may not want to come because you don't want to be Aaron Rodgers where they're showing your face after every single pick of you not getting picked.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what
him getting madder by the pick.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like you saw him starting to lose his mind.
And you do a revisionist draft history with Aaron Rodgers too. Aaron Rodgers shouldn't have been picked Aaron Rodgers should have been probably picked number 1 overall.
No, for sure. But I mean,
everybody misses in drafts.
That is always the situation that comes to mind for me when somebody wants to not be in the first round because they're not sure exactly where they're going to get picked or if they're going to get picked. I always think back to that Aaron Rodgers draft where it was after every pick. They're like, boom, Aaron Rodgers. You're like, man, that's
and
rough.
he's still mad about that to this day because look how he's acting 20 years later.
Well, I mean, they did him kind of dirty with the camera work. They're just like, hey,
absolutely
still not picked. Like
they always find somebody. They did it to they did it to Will Levis. They did to a lot of guys.
Yes, that was horrible. I felt bad for Will Levis.
Will Levis deserves it.
He wore his best
Well, I'm not saying
suit.
he didn't deserve it. That's different. I'm just saying it happened.
Yeah. Well,
that scenario reminds me. I don't know if you guys haven't seen Draft Day with Kevin Costner, the quarterback that was supposed to go first, and he getting shown on TV, and he wasn't picked first. Yep. That's Aaron Rodgers right there.
Yeah.
But that's why I feel like that's why Shedeur needs to go, because you need to be taught a little bit of humbleness. You have not been appreciative during this whole process, and so that's what that's why JTrain is frozen. Let me get it all out. That's what everybody is talking about. The fact that attitude, kudos to his dad. Everybody loves Prime for the most part, unless you really are a hater. We know he's paid his due. He's a great coach. But Shedeur has not earned his keep here. And the way he's coming through, like he belongs here, it's a difference in being, a naysayer completely, or having some type of gumption about yourself. And what he's doing is just over cockiness. He needs to come to the draft, and they need to show that sucker every second that he doesn't get picked. I'm talking about worse than Taylor Swift at a championship.
I like that we started off talking about mental issues, and then you're trying to build one.
I just want him to show. I think he has been born with a silver spoon. I think Dion has trained him correctly to play correctly, but I think your attitude is cocky, bro. You need to get some humbleness about yourself. You ain't been here.
Let's take a quick step back. If Shedeur falls in this draft, which I totally expect he will, I think he doesn't get drafted ninth by the Saints. I don't think he's getting drafted there. I think that's all smoke. When it happens, it's not going to be because of his attitude. It's not going to be because of his dad. It's going to be because his arm strength is questionable. Yep. His pocket awareness is questionable. There's a lot of questions about his ability to play in the NFL. That's why he'll fall in the draft.
Based on that, both of the guys that are the first top picks in this draft wouldn't even be in the first round last year.
Fair, but again,
but that's why you should be more humble. If you know you got these areas that people are already looking at. Like if I go to a job and I know there's a couple of things that they said you must have this to apply for the job, I'm not going to go in there loud and in control like, yeah, y'all need to hire me because this, and this. And I know I have these two issues that they said must be. I'm going to be humble. I'm going to ask them how their day was. I'm going to try to sell myself on the other things. I'm not going to come in there like I belong. You don't do that. It's a job.
I don't know. Think about it this way, though. Think about you going into that job. And had it been last year, there's a bunch of applicants. But this year, they cleaned house. They just need bodies. Like you're getting the job no matter what you do walking in. Yeah. You might approach that a little different and be like, I mean, I'm here.
I would like to say something else that JTrain had mentioned about Bill Polian and calling Lamar Jackson a receiver or trying to make him a receiver. I don't necessarily think his comments were that much distrue. He just didn't get the position right. I think he's more of a running back.
Yeah.
Well, I wish James was here because Bill Belichick said recently that one of the biggest mistakes he made late in his tenure was not drafting Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah. And if JTrain's watching, that the way your face froze is now going to be your caller ID picture.
Yeah, that's definitely your meme, bro. That's definitely going to be part of your next reel for the show. So, phone may have died. Let's see. Hang on. Linda said we're not on Roku, and she wants to know if anybody has had problems getting on there.
Recently, mine. When I start my show, it won't be on there. Then it'll pop on at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine is still
on the channel itself.
Yeah, that happened to us last week.
It'll show that it's not live when you're looking at your StreamYard.
It'll
at the top there. It'll show you it'll have an exclamation point by it that it's not streaming to
exactly. Yeah, it'll have the red. Yeah,
I'm gonna remove it and edit back.
Sometimes I disconnect it and reconnect it and it works, but sometimes it just pops in on its own at some point.
Yeah, I did that the other day, and it took me forever to keep trying to reconnect it, and finally, I just was like, okay, it's 11 minutes. At first, I thought somebody's show was still on. Yeah. I was like, the nerve of Robert Butler. The nerve.
Yeah, see, it just popped back on. See, there you go. Yeah,
all right, so I deleted it and I re-added it. So everyone on Roku.
It's having trouble again.
Okay.
We got to go. We got to repeat everything we just did. Where's James? Bring him back. We got to do it all over.
There it goes out again. This will re-air at 2 a.m. and they'll get the full story on what happened while everybody's asleep. Don't worry, I'll be awake.
Gotta stay up late.
Yes, she will.
Feel free to add your comments if you're joining us at 2 a.m. This is the replay, but we welcome comments because we just welcome them. I'm always looking at the comments on the replay because I want to see what we could do differently on the show. If I look goofy or anything like that. Oh no, he's back. God.
Oh no, he's back. Why has got to be? Oh no, he's back.
He's all wound up probably too.
Right. He's had some time to drink some water or whatever else. God, I'll be back, guys.
She got there quicker than Shador did.
Oh my goodness. My phone was sorry about the technical difficulty. My phone, and it was overheating. I'm out here in the parking lot.
Don't want to do that.
And I mean,
Overheating.
yeah, but I mean, I think the sun was shut. The sun was shining on my phone.
Overheating.
So what kind of feedback did I get? What was wrong?
That was straight from the pits of hell. That's
I just said the way that your face froze is now your caller ID.
That's what Bo said.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So all right. So let's move on from that. Guys, let's talk about any other breaking news as we wrap up the last 15 minutes here.
Nico goes to UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the money because he forfeited a lot of money.
Yes, he did.
And I'm guessing he didn't get $2.2 million.
I'm guessing he was lucky if he got over $1 million.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like 1 point something, if that.
I mean,
wow.
This is going to go down as one of the biggest miscalculations of this college football era. That his dad is behind this whole thing. And
so
by
another daddy.
I like it though. Like finally, there's some accountability starting to come back into it.
I agree.
So, and the thing that's funny is they were letting him do this. I think the straw that really broke the camel's back, so to speak, here was the fact that Dan Lanning from Oregon gave him a call and said, "Hey, your guy's over here trying to get more money."
Dan be in that stuff. He be in everything.
Hey, but I mean, kudos to him saying, "Hey, your house is not in order." Right. And so, I mean, at that point, you say enough's enough. Then you look at, the coach out of Miami said, "Hey, if you're playing the holdout game, you might as well play the get out game." And I like this, hold these kids accountable to the contracts they already signed.
Mm-hmm.
This was a bad miscalculation on Nico's team because they purposely did not go in the last portal because there was a lot of quarterbacks in that portal. I think they didn't have any intention of going anywhere. They were just trying to hold. They thought Tennessee would fold because they can't go get a quarterback either now. And Josh Heupel, God bless him, said no.
Yep.
We got
Danny, I agree. Good evening, Danny. Danny said, "Of course, daddy involved."
The NIL has got to be fixed.
This is the thing. He and his father literally dropped the bag. They literally dropped the bag.
Yep.
And with that said, his play is what got him booted. His or lack thereof, the mediocre play. He wasn't all that great. Obviously, highly recruited. They gave him all that money, but he was a mixed bag this last season. And so, had he been Heisman worthy or maybe an all SEC or all American, this wouldn't be a problem. I think he'd get more money.
100%.
Yeah, they would give him the money if he was anything like that.
I think he played a realization game. He realized he wasn't that good, so he's trying to get as much out of it as possible.
Yeah,
when you come in there highly recruited like that into a college, atmosphere, and then you put together a season, it's like everybody's saying, "Oh man, you're great, you're awesome," and then that blew his head up, and that's what happened.
They also came back and said that he blew $1.7 million of it in one semester, so he was out of money anyway.
That's the kid. That's the kid in him. That's what that is. Not knowing how to, do his financials correctly.
Yeah. So this is the argument I make for this because this is another cautionary tale. Part of this NIL deal, when you're talking about this kind of money, should come that contract should come with a required financial advisor. Right?
Great point.
Help these kids actually make smart decisions. Because if I was given millions of dollars as an 18-year-old kid, I would have done some dumb stuff. I would have bought a house, right? Because that would have been important to me. But at the same time, I would have done a lot of dumb stuff. Like I already did a lot of dumb stuff. So, I mean, I think when you're talking about these contracts that are $500,000 or more, they should come with a financial advisor to help keep these kids right, because, you know, kudos to their parents to try and do what's best for the kid. But, you know, a lot of these kids, their parents didn't have money either.
Nico's not doing his dad's not doing what's best for his son. He's doing it for what's good for him too.
No, I understand. But that's actually my point, is a lot of these parents didn't have money to play with either. So they're not exactly knowing how to deal with it correctly either.
True.
In this scenario, Nico's dad's trying to be his agent, whatever. So, I mean, that's a different scenario. I'm just saying as a blanket, you know, a lot of these families and friends, they're not equipped to deal with that because that's not an environment they've been around. So what they need is somebody that's unbiased to the situation to actually, you know, speak into these kids' lives, something that makes it so they have this money moving forward, as opposed to, you bought some ridiculous stuff in a car and now you can't afford the insurance on it.
Here's another must. Stop calling it NIL, because it's not
Right.
It's pay for play, and everybody needs to stop the whole NIL nonsense because it's ridiculous.
Well,
Not
if it's
you,
pay
but
for
I'm
play,
just saying in general.
and if it's pay for play, make them actually play.
It's always
take
been
the
that.
money away when they sit out. Make it a contract that is, hey, you're an adult, you're getting paid. Guess what? You get to play adult games where
make them honor contracts. Exactly.
You look at the crazy college landscape now, and there's still all this talk about a collective bargaining agreement. Why would the players ever agree to a collective bargaining agreement with under the rules they have now in NCAA sports? You'd be crazy. It's Wild West. You can do whatever you want. Why would you agree to anything to restrict your bargaining choices?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's definitely going to be one of those situations, like you guys say, call it a play for pay. And because, I mean, everybody's going to get in it. It's not like it's an actual name and likeness image if you don't have the big contracts. Like, say, for instance, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something small that someone would put their name on that no one really pays attention to. Maybe Papermate pencils or something. And no one notices that it's endorsed by this player that uses it to take all their standardized tests in college. Nobody's going to notice it. You know what I'm saying? It's so minute. So you may as well, just like you said, unless it's New Balance or one of the sneaker promos or a car or clothing, you know, one of the chinchillas or something like that they're wearing, they're not going to be like that noticeable about it. Right, B? I mean, you guys have chinchillas in Detroit.
I mean, they're allowed to still go get those types of deals also. Like it's not like NIL keeps you from getting outside endorsements.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like Cooper, like back to the Cooper Flag situation, he's got a $4.8 million NIL deal that will follow him into the league. So all that'll be is if he goes into the league, he'll still have that money. He's just going to have extra money, right?
Well,
like, it doesn't go away.
So it won't still be NIL. It'll actually become true endorsement contract.
Yeah, endorsement.
So it gets reworked. But yeah, I mean, people are paying for him to be an endorser. And so the verbiage changed, the contracts changed. But yeah, I mean, it's not like you leave college and then you just lose all of your endorsements.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked quick, and the expected rookie scale for the number one pick in the draft this coming year would be $62 million over 4 years.
That's ridiculous.
That's higher than I thought it was.
And he's not staying in college.
No. That is much higher than I
not
thought
at
it
all.
was.
Yeah.
So,
$13 million in year one. So
we running it back.
He's going to the league.
long as y'all know we're gonna run it back. I'm good with it. I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. So let's talk a little bit about some NFL trade proposals, just some proposals that Sports Illustrated has come up with as we get ready to wrap up the last 5 minutes here. We thank everyone for the likes, loves, comments. Definitely thank these gentlemen for joining me tonight. Could not do this show without them. We represent different regions of sports as far as where our teams are located, but we're all here on a conjecture to bring it to you from east to the north to the south to the west. We are here. And so, yeah. So, have you guys heard? I mean, I have to insert my team where I can because no one ever brings them up unless they want to talk about how bad we're losing. Did you guys hear that the Panthers and Raiders are in a possible trade proposal that will add a $33 million wide receiver for Bryce Young? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Who's the wide receiver?
Hear that?
Oh, well, this is wow. This is why I don't bring it up because y'all make me do all the homework. Nobody chimes in on the comment. Wow.
I mean,
No, I mean, we were talking about stuff for,
And there goes the reason why nobody mentions Carolina because we didn't even know about that.
Yeah, because y'all don't try to. So the wide receiver
I thought it was a trade for cities.
Yeah, while you guys are cackling, it's Jacoby Myers. And he ranks very high with the wide receivers. He's got
former Patriot. Yeah, he's been around. He's about as old as me, I think.
Yes, but the point is he's got a depth. He's on a deep. He's got a 66.7% contested catches.
He's a nice receiver.
Yeah, he's 20 plus his depth chart, and his intermediate play is 11 for 19 short passes. Like he's got something. And let's be clear, the Panthers are trying to get rid of Jadeveon Clowney. So, I mean, the clown show is out for sure. But looks like you guys don't have anything to say to that.
You guys just signed Jadeveon Clowney, didn't you?
Hi, Paul. Yep, but we're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, 2 year, $20 million. But I mean, he had 5.5 sacks last season. So I mean, at his age, he's 32. So
careful, Danny.
I can see him being a tradable asset to bring him somewhere. Now, where's Jacoby Myers? Is he with the Raiders?
Yes,
he is right now. Yes,
he's a free agent, so that wouldn't be a bad deal for the Panthers to get him in. But I don't know it depends on what you give up for him. I mean, to me, Jacoby Myers, $33 million would be like a 4th round draft pick or a 5th round draft pick.
Yeah, I hope it's not a lot because we just paid in full for our drafts from 3 years ago with Bryce. We are tired of owing the piper.
He's a nice receiver. He had a nice year last year with like nobody throwing the football. I mean, Minshew and O'Connell, is that the and O'Connell, right?
Either one.
I think he'd be a nice asset, but again, I'm not giving up much for him. He's been around a while, and you've seen he's not going to get better, right? I mean,
97.9 PFF grade, 7th while being 3 for 3 on the CTT first. So
on a good team, he's a 3rd receiver at best. So
I was going to say 2nd or 3rd. Yeah. So I was going to give him 2nd.
Well,
and even with that said, the Raiders ain't going to give him up.
Well,
they need weapons.
Like if you wanted a sure-handed guy, why wouldn't you just go get Tyler Lockett and you don't have to trade?
Or you're number 8 in the draft pick. Ted McMillan is number 1 right there.
Yeah, that's
number 8.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I've already given the disclaimer for everybody that we're coming, and that's for anybody that we play this year that may be part of this podcast. We are coming for you. The Panthers are coming for you, and we will overtake you. And so,
you laugh out loud.
The passive aggressive communication to me is well taken. It's well taken.
You guys probably realize I used this.
Was that passive aggressive? That sounded pretty aggressive to me.
It was just with a smile.
Not passive at all.
Well, she didn't say the Saints and James, so I mean.
Oh no! It's not. Yeah,
overtly aggressive.
Yeah, James, it's not just for you. It's for if we play the Patriots, if we play Seattle, if we play the Lions, we are coming.
We're playing the Lions. You don't want them problems, Sonja. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Okay.
So, but we ain't playing y'all anyway. So
no, this actually makes a ton of sense why she's on fire in the middle of the screen.
Right.
Oh man, went from no to fire. Yes.
I am on fire. So
that's why I keep trying to tell Fern too. He don't want none of them problems.
Yep. If Tip is recording this because he likes to do screenshots and recordings and all that, I hope he grabs this and it is recaptured next season while all of you guys have been demolished by the Panthers. Their full
Even the audio from this show, I could
Speaking,
Oh, man.
you guys,
What
yeah,
kind of rebuild are you in again?
I don't know, but we're here, and I use this platform to get all of my truth out because no one hears me. That's right, Rochelle. CP for life. Thank you so much for joining. And guys, we got to wrap it up and stick a bow on it here. Thanks, guys, for the laughs, the fun as always. Thanks for all the likes, loves, and everybody. We wish you guys a good night. We got a full night of shows. Myself and the guys will be on a little bit later on. Keith,
I got to run
every hour. And we ask you, bid you guys good night. Good night to you, Keith, as well.
Gotta go.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.